You know what the definition of insanity is? Putting Tom Wilson on the ice over and over and over again and expecting different results, especially from the NHL Department of Player Safety. I use that word loosely, of course. So Tom Wilson, being the kind of person he is, like we all know what the hell went down by now. Took full advantage of a very defenseless player by dropping himself. He didn't fall, he didn't trip, he just kind of threw himself onto Pavel Buchnevich specifically during a scrum in front of the net, and cross-checking him on his bare exposed neck, maybe even the base of his head. I couldn't really tell from the video, and honestly I'm way too pissed off about the whole situation to go back and actually look at it. But Buchnevich couldn't get up, he couldn't protect himself, he could hardly even move. So naturally, Tom Wankstein felt the need to do a little bit of head realigning with his stick. And Pavel's teammates, bless their hearts, just immediately jump in, defend him as well they should. Any player should. Any teammate absolutely should. And unfortunately, Artemi Panarin took the brunt of it, having his bare head thrown to the ice by Tom waste of a roster space. I mean, he might as well have just picked him up and pile drive him like he's freaking Sami Callihan from Impact Wrestling. And then there's the taunting. Looks like the kind of person who creates a Twitter account just to spam the hashtag #NotAllMen. Now, fortunately, he got a misconduct. Also fortunate, the fact that the NHL decided right then and there to strike down the mighty hand of justice upon him and suspend him for... Wait a minute. Oh, no, he didn't get suspended for cross-checking a defenseless player in the back of the neck or spiking a player's head onto the ice. Nah. Some genius, George Paros, we'll get more on him in just a minute here, decided that a $5,000 fine and letting him on his merry way would be just enough of a reminder, enough of a lesson to teach him and make sure that he never does that kind of thing again, now won't it? Yeah, $5,000 from a man who is halfway through a 6-year contract in which he makes just over $5 million per year. That's like if I were to mess up at work and I were to get fined a half-eaten can of SpaghettiOs and some belly button lint. Now, everybody who does not cheer for the Washington Capitals was rightfully so pissed off out of their minds, and I'm sure even some Caps fans thought that it might have been a little bit too lenient. I mean, they all should, everybody should, but this being hockey, you know, there are some sad, miserable SOBs out there who think that he did absolutely nothing wrong. If anybody like that is watching that video, please, kindly, go to hell. Now, as for those of us who actually live on the planet Earth, yeah, we're mad as hell, especially Rangers fans, and again, rightfully so, but I certainly wasn't expecting the entire team to basically put out a press release calling out the player safety department for their carelessness. Not that they were particularly egregious or anything, they were just disappointed and they made it very clear. They were firm, but with that firmness, they were just about as polite as anybody could reasonably be, considering what just happened the night before. Still, it took a lot of balls to just come out and call out the league offices like that. Just not something I ever really thought I'd see, at least not at this point. Now, as soon as I saw that, somebody on Twitter joked, well, they might not have actually been joking, but they said that the Rangers' fine for their little truth bomb might be a little bit more than Tom Wilson going all ECW on somebody. And sure enough they were. That was pretty much expected. But what I was not expecting was that fine to be $250,000. $250,000. Not $2,500, not $25,000, $250,000. Because they dared to call out that Hanson brother wannabe George Paros for completely failing to do his job. And Gary Bettman, this man, I don't know, I just can't believe that I actually defended this man at various points in the past. I know, I was kind of just fresh out of high school, but I did appreciate his commitment, and kind of still do, to helping the Arizona Coyotes find local ownership, and at least attempting to do the same for the Atlanta Thrashers when their owners decided that hockey just wasn't cool anymore and they thought it would be a lot more fun to just spend the next 12 years rebuilding the Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, I wonder how they felt knowing that Atlanta's WNBA team was going to be way more successful than the Hawks ever could, at least not in that time frame. And, you know, as an Atlanta Dream fan myself, I find it a little bit hilarious. Just in case anyone out there thought that I was kidding about the whole being an Atlanta Dream fan thing. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic. Back to Gary Bettman, this ferret-looking man. This man has the temerity to say it's unfair to question George Paros's professionalism and dedication to his position. Look, in no way, shape, or form was George Paros's decision professional. If there are an infinite number of universes with an infinite number of George Paroses out there, in not one of them is he the slightest bit professional in this particular role as the head of NHL player safety. And if he was as dedicated to his role as he was when he was a player, Wilson would never play in the NHL again, and he'd probably be emailing every single team in the KHL down on his hands and knees, groveling for a job in Russia. But because George Paros is probably still a little messed up in the head from all those concussions he got while he was being a total embarrassment to the Montreal Canadiens, Wilson will probably, in all likelihood, end up finishing his 6-year contract with the Washington Capitals, and the NHL will continue to pretend to care about concussions while giving Tom Wilson second chance after second chance after second chance every single time he commits mass murder to somebody's brain cells. Gary Bettman, George Paros, the player safety department, and the National Hockey League itself are just an absolute disgrace right now. They're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassment and a disappointment to anybody who has ever played in this great league and every fan who has ever loved and supported not only any team in the NHL, but especially the New York Rangers. For every fan who ever bought a ticket and watched the game, or watched them on TV, listened on the radio, bought a jersey, a hat, a t-shirt, whatever the hell. Every fan who ever loved them, hell, even every hot dog flipper at Madison Square Garden, each and every one of them are owed an apology by the NHL. They're owed an apology by Bettman and Paros. And most of all, they owe an apology to Artemi Panarin.